This is Saturday, the practice session for the 12-hour endurance race for small sedans at Marlboro, Maryland. It's a very bad day. Temperature is not too cool, but it's rainy, drizzly, and there's somewhat of a breeze. And these things combine to make it a rather miserable day for everyone concerned. However, the people are out practicing, equipped with umbrellas and other necessary pieces of equipment. There are almost no spectators at the practice session, which is unusual, but the weather was sufficient to keep most of them away. The practice session is about to get underway. Will be slow because of the wet track. This is a Sunbeam Alpine coming here, followed by a Saab, Volvo, another Volvo, and another Volvo. It's a Buick V6 coming here, and a Dyna Panhard behind there. And the cars are beginning to line up for the race. The race will start at 10 a.m. The drivers will wait in the cars. The co-drivers will stand near the guardrail in the foreground. At the start signal, they'll run over, touch the driver, and that will be the signal for the driver to... Here comes the start. becomes quite confusing. However, the American compacts, that is the Corvairs, the Buick, well, I believe that's about it for the American compacts, are pretty well up in the front. The Volvos are quite well placed, being first and I believe third. The various cars are, of course, are pretty widely different speed. The Dyna Panhard here, of course, is a relatively slow car, but being in one of the smallest classes. On the back corner here, a Corvair had a little problem. He missed a turn. This is Alfa Romeo here taking this corner. I believe, yeah, that's the Buick almost. The cars occasionally get bunched up. The Simca almost hit the VW. The Simca and the VW appear to be pretty evenly matched. They both in the same class. The Valiant's not doing too well at all. He is running way back into. This is a little Alfa Romeo sedan. It's driven by Art Tweedale and another driver, and they are really driving that thing. The American compacts are doing pretty well, but appear to have more trouble in the corners than the Volvos. The Simca and the VW still having at it. The Volvos are in the same class as the VW and the Simca, but outperforming them by far in this race. The Volvo has about an 85 horsepower engine compared to the VW's 40, actually 36 in the models that are running here, and the Simca's about 50 horsepower. The engines are, the cars are grouped by the engine displacement, and this, of course, doesn't bear too much relation to performance. Some cars being built under stressed to give a low power but quite long life. Other cars being built with performance more in mind. So an engine of a given displacement can have quite a wide range of performance depending on what the designer had in mind. The Volvos are really doing a very good job here, though. The Alfa, although not in the not keeping up with the Volvos by any means, is up pretty well toward the front of the pack. There were somewhere in the vicinity of 30 starters, and of course that leaves quite a few cars strung out around the track. The VWs, of course, are way back in the pack. In a race such as this, though, it's who manages to finish that counts, not who went the fastest part of the race. Volvos have a reputation for reliability in spite of their high performance, as do the Saabs. The American compacts are pretty much of an unknown quantity. There goes one up into the pits. It's a Sunbeam Rapier, British car. He also is doing quite well. The Alfa, still in there. was in the pits is back into the race. Comes the Corvair out. The Corvairs are having brake troubles. One man, as a matter of fact, has gone through a fence in one when his brakes failed. That was the blue Corvair, which was running with the VW in practice. The reason the VW couldn't get away from the VW in practice, incidentally, was because his engine wasn't running right. Actually, he could outrun the VW considerably. The race goes on and on. This is a 12-hour race, which gives the spectators certainly plenty of time to watch the race, also plenty of time to get coffee or anything else that they might want. The weather began to get a little bit better, not a whole lot. The rain slacked off. The track began to dry out a little. And of course the speed of the race went up when this occurred. The Volvos continue to run in very good fashion. They are holding down most of the first places. VW, of course, is well back in the pack, and obviously somewhat slower than the Saab. The Simcas are still running. There are 3 of them entered. They are a team entered by either a factory, or more probably by a local distributor. The Fiat Abarth is still running and being driven like mad. The lid, the engine compartment is hinged open because the little hopped up Fiat engine has a tendency to overheat. The Alfa is still pretty well up in the running. It's a fairly old Alfa, I believe, about 4 or 5 years, I believe. Of course, the Volvo passes him fairly easily. There is an appreciable discrepancy in performance. The Simca and the VW are still pretty evenly matched. Up the Alfa almost lost it, but he gets back onto the course. Sunbeam Alpine, of course, Sunbeam Rapier has continued to run and is also well placed. It was noticed or obvious that some of the American cars had exhaust rigs which were not designed very carefully, because they began to disintegrate. This was not the factory exhaust, but rather the open pipes attached by the mechanics. These were legal under the rules, which permitted exhaust modifications, some exhaust modifications, and milling cylinder heads to raise milling the block to raise the compression ratio. Notice that the American cars have to be thrown through the